Welcome back to the Stoop football fans. It's your boy Lolo on another Friday night. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it through another week. I'm trying to crack mine open right now, and there we go. All right. So if you got a cocktail in your hand, go ahead and pull it out. Now's the time. There we go. Cheers to you guys. Happy Friday. And best of luck to most of your teams tomorrow or this weekend or Monday if you're an Arsenal fan. I know we've got Wolves playing a big match, and Wolves doing well in the FA Cup. We've got Arsenal playing Sheffield United, and I believe Leeds United take on Huddersfield tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. Thank goodness, because there's no Premier League at that time in the morning. So I will be watching Leeds United. All right. BX Gunner says, I'm not drinking tonight, but fired up some ganja. All right. It's legal here. So I hope it's legal where you're smoking it. Pink Cushion, good to see you as well. Scooby D2. Palfy666 with a Pickford kit. All right. It's officially Saturday. Yes, sir or ma'am. Welcome to the Stoop. Jimmy Bremer's Ghost in the house. Scooby D2. Sorry about that, Scooby D2. I was running late, feeding the kids, trying to make sure everybody eats before I run away and hang out with you all for the rest of the night. Mr. Tom as well. Good to see you on the show. So we've got plenty to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about the Liverpool winning the League Cup, the Carabao, who cares about Cup. And Chelsea, their demise, yet winning against Leeds United in the last minute to move on in the FA Cup. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to try and cover all the Premier League action that is coming up this weekend. So just to kick off the show, I just wanted to talk to you all a little bit, as you know I like to do. And I promised Mark I would not let it go 20 minutes this time, or however long it went last time. But something that had me thinking with Liverpool beating Chelsea and winning a trophy, Liverpool advancing in the cup, in the FA Cup, Chelsea then going and advancing in the FA Cup. Then we come into Wolves advancing in the FA Cup. All these things happening for all these teams, all these different levels. And then I was really looking into the Arsenal Sheffield United match on Monday and realizing everybody's talking about Arsenal for this match. And you can't neglect the fact that for Sheffield United, it is just as big of a match. And this got me thinking about one word that just kept popping up in my brain, which was pressure. Pressure. For Liverpool, there's pressure to win a title. There's Klopp's final season. There's the pressure to go out with a bang. They've got one trophy. Does winning the trophy take some of that pressure off? Or is now there even more pressure to win the league, go through in the Europa League, get to the final, win the Europa League, try to do some sort of quadruple, even though we'll call it the quadruple lesser, the lesser quadruple, because it's not the Champions League, and the Europa League is not the Champions League, as we Arsenal fans have been told for years and years and years. But I started to think about Chelsea as well, and there's an odd pressure on Chelsea having £1 billion worth of players out there on the pitch and everybody making fun of them week in and week out. And how do these players deal with that? What is the mentality that Arsenal needs to take into a title race going up against the last place team where you've been putting up tons of goals, 25 goals in 6 games? Is there more pressure playing Sheffield United than there is playing Liverpool head-to-head, Man City head-to-head? Was there more pressure for Leeds United to play Leicester City in the championship last Friday, or was it more pressure to play Chelsea in the FA Cup? So this is what I want to ask my panel when we get out here. What do you all feel is the biggest pressure, or is there a bigger pressure? Is it more pressure for Arsenal to continue winning and to beat a team that they are 100% expected to beat, or is it more pressure for They are not expected. Looks like I might have lost you all for a second. I'm seeing Mark move again. Mark was frozen backstage. So sorry if I cut out there for a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and bring Mr. Mark on. Mark, how's it
Hey,
going?
what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday.
Did I cut in and out there?
You froze completely.
Oh, good.
But you were asking or suggesting or just pontificating about pressure. What is the pressure that maybe Arsenal is feeling heading into Monday? You're playing the bottom of the table, son. There is no pressure. There is absolutely no pressure for Arsenal. The pressure for Arsenal is the burden of the season because you shit the bed 2 years ago for Europe, or no, for Champions League. Last year you shit the bed for the Premier League, and you guys are hanging tight, playing a style of football that I liked. Heading into Monday, I've really enjoyed watching Arsenal. They're back to that super exciting scoring 3 to 5 goals a game, which is what we saw at the beginning of last season. It wasn't sustainable, but this is what I know. You guys are in some incredible goal scoring form. You haven't lost in 2024. And here
league.
we are, 12 weeks left in the season, and Arsenal is getting healthy. You guys are going to get Partey back soon. There's even talk of Timber coming back. So I think where the pressure lies is where you finish in the season. I think that as I don't necessarily know last year was like, we're going to win. Our goal is to win the league. I think your goal was to get to the Champions League.
Yeah.
Which you did. This is the year that I think that it's like, it's first place or bust. It's league champion or bust.
Yeah, but that's on the.
So I think that's where the pressure lies, because it's going to sit in these players' heads. It's like, we've choked the last 2 years and we don't want to choke, and so how do we not choke? Do we wait till other teams choke? Liverpool with their injuries, but wow, people are stepping up. Man City is, I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, what Holland did to Luton Town was just so unfair. He had five
goals.
And De Bruyne served him like 4 of those.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. An unhealthy De Bruyne, by the way.
Exactly. Is that the pressure that you guys are going to feel? I mean,
but Mark, every single thing that you said, to me, that makes it more pressure for Arsenal. Like, it's tough because in matches like the ones that we faced, besides Liverpool and Newcastle, the matches that we've won in 2024 very well, Burnley, Palace, and West Ham, those are fantastic to look back and go, yeah, well, it's just West Ham. You're supposed to beat them. Yeah, good job. Yo.
Hey, John.
Is this the Leeds channel?
Yes. Yes,
that was
it
last
is.
Week. That was
last week.
We're always the Leeds channel. I mean, I got Leeds on the wall.
Nice. What's going on? Cheers.
Cheers, man.
John.
Cheers, big ears. What the hell am I drinking?
Bollocks, Nobby.
Pineapple cayenne.
I went back to
Oh, that sounds
Budweiser.
just absolutely dreadful.
It's actually
What were you
not
guys
terrible.
talking about before I rudely interrupted
So we're talking
Arsenal.
about pressure.
you? Oh, God.
No, we're talking about all teams.
Let
But
me drink about 23 more beers before you continue that conversation.
That cooler in the background doesn't look big enough for 23
There's only
beers.
6.
that's just the cooler, so he doesn't have to walk the 20 feet to the fridge. Mark, come on.
Exactly.
I've been to his apartment.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
You know you need
Mark,
a fridge.
don't
on
say
the-
that. Don't say that loud. That's just between me and you.
No,
But-
there is no pressure on Arsenal.
But Mark,
come
that makes
Monday.
it even
You
more
are
pressure.
not going. It's not even going to be close. I mean,
You say
not
that.
only is
It shouldn't
Sheffield
be.
United one of the worst. Is the worst team by a long shot. They are incredibly broken.
So you're saying Arsenal players should not worry and should go into that match knowing they're going to win because there's no pressure even if they lose.
No, I'm not exactly saying that, but what I am
If they
saying
lose,
is that if
the
there is
shout
a
of your
time,
season is
if there
over.
is a
Sorry.
match to rest a Saka, to rest a Gabriel, to rest a Rice, this is the one to do it. This is the one to do it because it's like Reece Davies out, John Ingen out, Cameron Archer out, Mason Holgate out, Ben Diaz out. I mean, it's just like
I see you in the
what did I
background.
do? You know what I'm saying? This is where
Okay,
where
so-
Arsenal
but I'm
rests
asking you-
players and gets ready for what's your following match.
No, but Mark, you're going too grand with it. I'm talking on the day-to-day, the daily at this match. Is there more pressure for Sheffield United to win and get some points to stay up? Are those players feeling the pressure more? Or are the Arsenal players who might have a lot more calm in them knowing that they do have the better chance and that they are better set up, that they are more prepared to win this match? However, if they lose, the season could be over. If they lose to
Sure.
Sheffield United. That's just why I'm saying. So now we'll appease John a little bit here, and we'll go ahead and bring on Mr. Tom, and we'll ask him when we bring him on.
I'm bringing him on now. You have no choice in the matter.
I'm not ready for him yet. We'll ask him which match was there more pressure for the Leeds United players. Was it Leicester City or was it Chelsea?
Oh, it has to be Leicester.
For the players.
I think there was more pressure on Leicester than there was. I don't give a fuck what the manager said in the press. There was more pressure on Leicester to win that game and walk away with points than there was on Leeds. Leeds is at home. They haven't lost at home all season. Is that true?
No, all
In
in 2024, I think.
Is it just 2024?
Yeah.
I thought maybe it went a little farther back than that, but I mean, they're feeling comfortable, man. This is the equivalent of, being in your easy chair and, you got your moccasins on and, drink in your hand, sort of confident.
Oh, Tom says all season at home. All right, let's get him on here.
There
Okay, Tom.
Aha!
All right.
Hey,
Welcome to the party, Tom. How are you?
hello everyone. I'd just like to make some mild corrections. We were on I
Good to see you,
believe,
Robbie.
every league game in 2024 we've won. Unbeaten at home since the Tottenham game at the end of last season.
Last season.
So,
Yeah, that's what I
we're
thought. I
unbeaten
thought you guys
this
were
season.
unbeaten at home.
You could just say unbeaten at home all season. You don't have to bring them into it. With some accolades of they beat you at Ellen Road. Like let's just
Yeah,
say
but
all season.
Saying we haven't lost at home since May sounds a lot better than
There, say
Yeah.
that. Say that. Just don't mention who it was to. I swear to God, in the freaking League Cup final, all we heard about throughout the match was, well, just like when West Ham beat Arsenal in the League Cup final, just like Leeds United beat Arsenal in the League Cup final in 1755, whenever the hell that was. I'm like, shut up about Arsenal. And this is
The ball was square back then, right?
yeah, it was a lot. You had to
Yes,
roll it.
and
with
it,
two
it,
hands.
it,
Not quite
it actually
true,
was a
Robbie.
skull.
Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Tom, how are you today? Happy Friday.
I'm fantastic. How are all you gentlemen?
I'm great.
Now that you're
and,
here-
Fine gentlemen and Mark, how are you?
and Mr. Tom, since we last spoke, Leeds United are still holding strong at second place in the league table.
It's true because we haven't played a league game since we last spoke. So
you keep
quite handy.
killing Tom. I'm giving you all these accolades, and you keep qualifying them with rubbish.
oh, you know what? All right. Let's start again. Take me out
Okay.
and bring me back in again. Take me out. Let's do
Okay,
it properly.
okay. You got him, John. Take him out. Okay. All right, and now it's time to bring on our Leeds United fan. Let's get him in here, Mr. Tom. How's it going? Undefeated in the league.
We're the
at
greatest
home.
team in the world.
There you go. And what about this this run that you're on, undefeated in the league at home? That's been like forever, right, Tom?
It's literally been since Jesus walked the earth. We have won game after game. Probably.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Brownie.
Yes,
Thank you so
sir.
much, Brownie. I don't know what you're doing, but it's working. We appreciate it. Big shout out to Brownie. And Brownie, you're welcome to come on the show anytime you want for happy hour, man. I think, right? Do we know? We know Brownie, right?
Well, we will. We'll get him on
I
the
know
show. We'll get
Brownie.
to know him.
I'm just inviting anybody. That's fine. So, Mr. Tom, I want to ask you, was there more pressure on Leeds United or Chelsea during the FA Cup match during the week?
All that pressure was on Chelsea because, don't get me wrong, the manner of which we did not win the game is obviously winning a game and not losing a game in the 90th minute is shit. However, I was more concerned about getting out of Stamford Bridge with the same amount of fit players that we entered Stamford Bridge with. And to my knowledge, that was achieved.
Yep.
Ideally, before the game started, we were sitting again. Well, ideally, you wouldn't go into extra time. So we avoided that. It took losing to do that. But whatever. The fact of the matter is, we're still the greatest team on earth, even in defeat. And Archie Gray, I would bear his children, probably. I'd look into the science to do that. Don't worry. Yeah.
It can't be
fantastic
done. I'm
football.
telling you, it can't be done.
I'm confused by this comment.
Brownie, now you're in it. You're living it. It's now. You're late. This is football with some special brownies.
Brownie, we've been doing Friday happy hour since before we were born.
Yeah.
It just seems
In
that
the
long.
womb.
You know,
You've just not been
half
filming it.
of Lolo's children weren't born.
That is true. That's a
And
mathematical
that sounds like he has a lot of children. Half his kids.
It's
were
good,
born
but see,
after
Mark,
the
you're not
show started.
you're not doing what Tom was doing. It was like giving it all away. No, make it sound good. There you go. Make it sound good.
You know, we like Archie Gray, but I mean,
Archie Gray, man. Archie Gray.
I mean,
that kid.
He's a good passer.
Mark,
I want to give him a couple of
if I'm not
years.
mistaken.
I want to give him a couple of years and let him ripen, let him mature, let him enjoy football without the pressure, you know, and let him be good rather than someone like a Rashford, you know, who has a great season and then all this we're talking pressure all this pressure gets put on him to replicate, and he can't fucking do it. So I would hate to see something like that happen to Archie Gray, because I think it's far too easy for a lot of these young academy kids, young kids to, just to live to that pressure. And by
Mark,
being a Gray, he's
what?
got
That's what I'm
pressure,
saying. Archie Gray
instilled
has
upon him.
Archie Gray has more pressure than any other Leeds United player out there every time he steps on the pitch, because when he walks out with Gray written on the back of his kit, wearing the all white, like, he's got history.
So that doesn't give you like some sort of security going, hey,
no security.
If I fuck
Zero
up, I get
security.
the benefit of a doubt because I'm a Gray, whereas like a Melier will screw up and like you'll hear about it in the papers for 3 weeks.
If Archie Gray screws up, you'll hear about it.
3 weeks on the same incident.
If Archie Gray had one of his worst matches, I don't know one of his worst, but he didn't have a great match against Leicester. He didn't have a great 70 minutes. But the last 20, he went on to score a goal, and he kept a clean sheet after the first goal, and the not second goal. That probably should have been. But I'm just saying, Archie Gray, he'll get slated. He's got a lot of pressure that he is probably put on himself, knowing his family's history, and the fact that he's fucking 17. He's 17, right, Tom?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's in the honeymoon period where he can't do anything wrong. But when
that's what
I'm
getting
Premier League, when we get in the Premier League, that's when it actually ramps up, and it'll be, all right, can you now hack playing top division football? And that's when you'll find out if you can or not. That being said, I do think there is a bit of a delusion amongst my fellow Leeds fans that he's going to be with Leeds forever. If he's really as good as everyone is saying he is, and he does appear to be very good, but then he's not going to, if Leeds don't get promoted, let's just say, knock on wood that we won't, but if that is the case, when Liverpool come knocking and go, all right, Leeds is 40 million or whatever it is, and Archie, what are you on? Okay, we'll triple that sort of thing. Again, English tax and all that. He's going to have to have a serious think about that and talk with his family. Because a player of that caliber and potential doesn't want to be sat in the EFL for 10 years.
Mm.
The conversation's different if we do get promoted. Because then you'll get to see what he can do.
Yeah,
I have a question, though.
No, for sure. I mean, he'll get the opportunity, but he's got to put on some muscle mass. He's got to, hopefully grow just a little bit, physically, so that he can handle, especially when, like, can you imagine just how worn out he would be with like the Boxing Day schedule, where you're playing 5 games in 7 days or whatever it is?
You don't know. He's played the Boxing Day schedule in the Championship, which is even worse.
Yeah, and he's 17. He's fucking full of energy. Fucking piss and vinegar right now.
Dude, energy is one thing, but to be able to deal with the physicality. I mean, Archie Gray's not a big boy, and it's he's in the Championship. He's playing with boys. He's playing against not the cream of the crop.
So let me ask
let's face it. That's why it's the lower league. Sure, there are some riggers that almost level the playing field, but you're playing with the best in the world in the Premier League.
John, you're not getting 100 million for anyone in the Championship. If we had Lionel Messi, no one would pay us 100 million for him in the Championship.
What's like the top? I mean, what's like if you're in the Championship and you sell a player, what's like the most you could expect?
I believe
30, 40.
I think you may have seen a player go for 30 million in the Championship. I think it's possibly Buendia from Norwich to Villa. It's possible. I'd have to look into it, but I believe that would be like the top end. But that's very rare, Mark.
Right.
That's very rare. Because
where did Ollie Watkins come from? Where did Dominic Calvert-Lewin come from?
They
Those
bought,
guys came from the
Ollie
championship,
Watkins
didn't
from
they?
Brentford. Yeah.
When they were in the championship.
Yeah. Neil Mopai as well went from, I think it weren't it Brighton from Brentford. Off the top of my head. He's bounced around a bit since then. But
Right.
yeah, so anyway, yeah, exactly, John, exactly. If we go up, then that changes the dynamic, because then you're in the power position, because you can afford to then say no, and the player will still be happy more often than not, because
Gotcha.
he'd still be playing Premier League football.
So
Like, don't get me wrong, I do think if we don't go up this year, I don't think exactly Archie Gray is going to be agitating for a move. That's not what I'm implying at all. But what I am saying is he's not going to spend the 4-year duration of his contract or whatever it is in the Championship. Because if he
Right.
really is that good, he's going to want to have a stab at top division football, and he'll get it.
Right.
Especially based on what he did against Caicedo and Enzo and all that lot. He had a good night.
Right.
He had a good night. We didn't win, but he had a good night.
Yeah.
I have an important question that nobody has answered. When's the last time somebody gave a tip?
years, John. Years.
Okay.
But we did have a few new members pop up
Nice.
over the past few weeks.
Mark, you almost spit that beer out.
Yeah. Yeah. No. We don't.
Guava jalapeno.
Ooh.
That sounds even worse than the first. What was the other one? Pineapple and athlete's foot powder.
Pineapple cayenne.
Pineapple cayenne.
It sounds like where they're going with like car names these days. Like they're running out of things to call midsize SUVs. So the pineapple cayenne is probably coming soon. I've got the new Chevy pineapple cayenne.
The Tacoma buttload coming your way.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so I got a question for you guys with Archie Gray. Let's say Leeds United do go up. They're in the Premier League next season. Archie Gray is being told you're going to play as much as you're fit to play. You're a part of the starting 11. Here you go. But then a team like, say, Aston Villa, Newcastle, a team around there calls in and says, we want Archie Gray. We want to spend, let's say, 50 million. I don't know the valuation of him right now, but I'm just throwing out a number. But he doesn't have a guarantee to play. He comes off the bench every now and then, but he's not playing a lot. What would you prefer for him? Going to a higher Premier League club where he can learn under different players and different styles and all that, or sticking with Leeds United and playing a lot? Oh, I guess the hypothetical would work better if you didn't get promoted.
Well,
So playing every day in the Championship, or sitting on the bench and not starting all the
38
time.
games for Leeds next year in the Premier League. I'll be very surprised if that was the case. I feel it will aid his development to be a bit part player as such, because as happened last week when I asked David Villamartin, I said, how many players do you think we'll get in the summer that we need? Like, how many players do we need? Because the performance against Leicester tells me that this squad is unsustainable in the Premier League long term, because Leicester are a team that weren't good enough for the Premier League last year, and we were outperformed by them for much of the game. So you need to improve your keeping, like Norwich, for example, don't improve their squad when they get promoted and they finish bottom every time. I'd argue Sheffield United tried to improve their squad, but evidently the results suggest they have not. So, and Archie is a bit part right back when he's not even a right back. Well, he's playing at right back when he's not a right back. Therefore, yeah, exactly. They're looking at him, but you need to be in the Premier League to be able to say no. For a start. because of his future, because of his past links with the club, you'll get the grace period of him being loyal for a bit longer, but that will end at some point when
Well,
it don't look like
it
we're
could
going up.
the thoughts, I mean, Calvin Phillips pops to mind, where he was as loyal as long as he could be, and then the biggest club, currently speaking, in football comes knocking with a big chunk of change for your hometown club, the club that you love with all your heart, and you go and you sit the bench. But you get 4 trophies or so while you're there by sitting on the bench, and then you get sold on and moved on. And now Calvin Phillips, we're talking about Calvin Phillips possibly coming back to Leeds this summer. But Leeds United fans going, I don't know if we want him. Like, I don't
I'm
know if
not
he's
really
good
sure.
enough to come back.
I'm not convinced on it.
Yeah.
You'd be getting a Calvin Phillips that doesn't have the confidence of the Calvin Phillips that left the club for a start. I'd want to sign players that are on the way up rather than players that are on the way down. As horrible as that is to say, Arsenal don't. I say Arsenal don't do that. I mean, half the Chelsea players you bought are like that. But you're getting the best out of one of them, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
But you're not going to find many Leeds fans in this chat that will say they'll have him back because, in my opinion, we got the best of him already. And you ain't going to replicate that. I
Yeah.
think he's a system player. I think Bielsa got it was like, when you wring a wet towel and you try and get the maximum moisture out of it. That was Bielsa with Calvin Phillips. No other. The greatest football manager on the planet, supposedly, Pep Guardiola couldn't get out of him what Bielsa got out of him.
Yeah. Yeah. Calvin Phillips, I feel, suffers from kind of that thing that happens. So like you're in like junior high school, and everyone went to camp, or I got a summer job, or blah blah blah. Calvin Phillips like went to Europe and discovered like some new type of music and knew this and knew that, and everything was really cool, and I got to do that. And after that he's just kind of spoiled, because he got to do that. And so with City, he won all the trophies. He didn't play a lick, but he won all the trophies. And to have him come back and expect him to have, like, I don't know, man. I just think he's damaged goods at this point. I think he's spoiled, and because he's pretty awful. Where is he now? He's
West
is
Ham.
he a nuke?
Well, I mean, give him time.
West
Give
Ham.
him time at West Ham. He needs playing time. He needs playing time. It's hard to judge a player who's not getting all that time.
Mm-hmm.
You can judge him on, there's probably something in training that's not getting him on the first team, but he was at Man City. Like, nobody knows if they're going to be on the first team, really.
Sure,
except Holland.
I mean, Jack Grealish wasn't on the first team his first year, but I think there's
he's
a big
not on the
difference
first team now. Like,
I think there's a big difference between Jack Grealish and Calvin Phillips. I think you just see it, and his style of play is totally different. His body weight, he's big, and I don't think his, like, what he wants to do and how he remembers how to do it, that he can't quite do it because of his size. It's just you just haven't figured it out. I used to be able to do this, and now I put on 15 pounds and I can't quite move as sharply, as quickly. Now, does that mean he needs to change the style of play? Maybe, I don't know.
No,
but he's not the same player. He's not the same player. And we've seen players move from team to team and around the league, and they're that player. Declan Rice, James Ward-Prowse, doing Declan Rice and James Ward-Prowse things. Well,
I think
Calvin Phillips is not doing Calvin Phillips things.
I think you're missing something that Mr. Tom hit on hard. Like the girl at the end of the bar, he hit on it hard. And I don't think you heard it. But he said that Bielsa got everything out of Calvin Phillips, because Calvin Phillips, before Bielsa, was a defender, if I'm not mistaken.
He was deployed. He saw himself as a box-to-box midfielder, like
Yeah,
attacking
yeah,
midfielder,
yeah.
and he wasn't very
Attacking
good at it. Bang average at best, in my opinion.
Yes.
He would have been. He'd be playing in League One right now, at best. Because I don't. People free disagree with me on that. That's fine, but I feel like he was a bang average Championship midfielder that fancied themselves as I'll go all over the park, but then you weren't really that good all over the park. Like you try to be a jack of all trades, but you're a master of none. Whereas he was master of the defensive pivot under Bielsa.
Yeah. So Bielsa created this system that would utilize all the things that Calvin Phillips did well and minimize the things that he was poor at. So he came out and he flourished in that role. And then he goes with Pep in Man City. It's a completely different setup. West Ham, completely different setup. So Calvin Phillips is clearly not situational. What's it called?
Alfie's got it there.
What? He's a. Oh my God! What do you call it when the coach's system? He's a system player.
Yeah,
he's a system player, and if he doesn't fit the system perfectly, it's just not going to work because he's just not good enough at everything else. But when you find the right system, he could be your key player, and that's what Bielsa did. So
we did well to get the money we got for him, but then on the flip side, we wasted that money.
Wow, the fan base wanted him gone before Bielsa.
Yeah.
No, you had that. You guys signed that guy for like a week.
Who?
Know, I don't remember who. It was like the second last summer and the last year's January window. You didn't sign him, but him too. You guys didn't do so well with the Americans.
No, it was a. I'll put it this way: for every bit as badly as the American experiment went at Ellen Road, is as well as it's gone with the Welsh lads. Admittedly, a slightly lower level, but still, it's currently working. That's all I can say about it. John Kevin Augustine was an incredible signing. My personal favourite. Do we really need to go down that rabbit hole with how much that cost us?
Isn't that the guy that you paid and he played like 0 minutes?
He played like 47 minutes. And we've not only had to pay the 18 million fee for the player, but we've had to pay his 80 grand a week Premier League wages, despite the fact that he's not played in the Premier League for us.
Right. Well, 80 grand's not that.
Of the contract.
80 grand's not that bad.
It is when you're now in the Championship.
right.
So,
I mean,
he turned up fat.
I think that could be like half of the Wolves' payroll right now. Their wage rate is pretty ridiculously low.
He turned up fat for Bielsa. Like, if he turned up at my house, I'd be like, yeah, you're probably in good shape, mate. But for Bielsa standards and professional football, you were never playing in that team. I think Murderball killed him. Not literally. I think he played for Basel now.
Well, I mean, you look at that injury list during the 2 years you were in there, 3 years, 2 years in the Premier League. 2. I mean that injury list was ridiculous. I mean, Bamford was injured for almost not a calendar season, but
Yeah. Every team has a signing that is like where you've waited. Like, I think for you, Fabio Silva comes to mind. Like, you paid a lot of money for him, and would you say he pulled up trees for your club?
Oh God, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
not giving you out. The point is every
no.
team has their player
I
that
mean,
they
I
point at and go,
when we signed him, I knew nothing about him other than he was Portuguese, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, he's the new Ronaldo or something." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't think so."
really, it's just agent connection signing. Really.
You know, 35 million and 3 loans later. It's kind of telling. Like seriously, like I mean, we got our pants pulled down on that one. I would guess we wasted good Jota money. And it's telling that he can't make the team when here we sit vying for 6th place, which I read today gets you a spot in Europe because of Liverpool winning.
Possibly.
That's what I read today. That's all I know. No, I just read that 6th place will get you Europe in the Premier League. That's
Europe generally falls down to 7th because the big 6 usually win the cups.
Right. But I mean, here we are, and we are in what are we, 9th, 8th place? I guess we're competing for it, but we have no striker.
In 9th place, but you're only 1 point out of 7th place.
Yeah.
So Brighton and West Ham only have 1 point on you.
It's telling that we are willing to ship Sylvia out, and we have no striker currently. Both Cunha and Hee-chan are injured. I don't know who's going to be the striker. I think they're going to get like the janitor who sweeps up at the end of the match at Molineux. I guess he's going to suit up. But yeah, it just, that was a waste of money. I think that's probably the biggest flop that I would know of, because the ones that could flop don't want to play for us. So, but maybe that'll change next year because Gary O'Neill he's a good manager.
He's doing really well.
Yeah. And the crowd likes him.
Got rid of him. I was surprised Bournemouth got rid of him.
I was too. I mean, you would think keeping a team up would at least get you one more year.
I mean, they are doing. To be fair, his replacement is also doing all right as well. Like both teams are doing okay out of it. Let's be fair, but still surprised they made the moves. But
Sancho Panza was Don Quixote's right-hand man. Yes, you are, sir. George Barry was a nightmare for Wolves. I'll have to look into that. I don't know who George Barry is.
Your team has a fascinating history, to be fair to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, what little I've read on it, like I guess like when they got relegated to League 2, the fan base tried to burn Molineux down.
Yeah.
They rioted like right after the match.
Football used to be wild, Mark.
Yeah.
Lawless almost.
Well, guys. Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry. No, sorry. It's not important.
No, I was changing the topic completely. So if you're still talking about it, keep talking about it.
Tom, anything you say is important.
That's very kind of you, John. Director John. The greatest director in the history of
it's so great to have him back. I love the pop-ins. Who doesn't love the pop-in?
The pop-ins are the only reason I come on, really. Did I say that out loud? Sorry.
What were you saying? All right, so let's get to the FA Cup. We had lots of action in the FA Cup that has to do with my co-hosts here, guests on the show. Mark, Wolves advancing in the FA Cup. You were only a few wins away from Wembley, my friend, right?
Yes.
1 win away from Wembley.
What do you mean one win?
The semi-finals.
The semi-finals is at Wembley.
The semi-finals are at Wembley.
Yeah. Semi and finals are at Wembley.
Wait, the semi-finals or the semi-finals?
The semi finals. It's actually monkeys that actually come out onto the pitch.
This would be awesome. Oh, you were in the
am
quarterfinals, yeah.
very, very proud of how we did against a very, very strong, aggressive, and physical club. We scored early. We couldn't get a whole lot going on, but we didn't go for it. We actually went with a lot of second stringers. So it was no Semedo, no Dawson. Obviously no Cunha. Sarabia was on the bench. Neto was on the bench. And so we didn't exactly go, you know what? This is what we're playing for. League be damned. We want to win the FA Cup. No, we went out there with a lesser squad and got the job done. Brighton really came at us hard, and I think they had twice as many shots that we did, and it was a really great defensive effort by the club. But I didn't expect to win that. I definitely, because of when I saw that lineup, I was like, this is not important. And they miraculously pulled it out. And to land a team in Coventry who lost to West Brom today, 2-1, I think, and Coventry only scored because of a penalty.
Yeah, so you should be feeling good.
I do feel good, although while I don't know a lot about Coventry, they score a lot of goals, don't they, Tom?
Well, I have this information right here, Mark. Basically, cut a long story short, Coventry currently sit 9th in the Championship. Obviously, they've played one game more than the others, and they've scored 52 goals. For context, Leeds have scored 64, but, you know, that's fairly respectable for a club at 9th in the Championship. They were on fairly good form recently. They got a 1-1 win at Ellen Road, which they celebrated like a goal celebration piece about
it. Did they celebrate like Arsenal?
Yeah. Yeah, that basically is what happened. Yeah. To qualify this, I'm going to say, I'm not actually having a go at them for it. Celebrate on the pitch like you won the cup. Absolutely fine. Brilliant. It was the video that they did of them partying at the train station on the way home that I thought was a bit, oh, come on now, lads, you're professional footballers.
Who is this that we're talking about?
Coventry.
Who did they beat?
They drew 1-1 at Ellen Road, and they put out a video on social media of the players celebrating at Leeds train station.
Well, they Well, celebrate every victory, even if it's a draw, I guess. That doesn't sound like a motto you should live by. But yeah.
Good result.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So Tom, you guys were in the FA Cup as well.
It could be celebrate a draw like it's a victory.
That's what I did.
It sounds like the everyone gets a trophy stuff that I'm not so into. You didn't lose. Celebrate. Yeah. Mr. Tom, you guys were in the FA Cup 4th or 5th round or whatever it was. You guys played Chelsea. I thought you guys played a very good game. You came out with a goal, a well-found goal. You had that young kid, Joseph, who probably should have had a hat trick with the opportunities he had towards the end there. But interesting match. And then you guys end up losing to a 90-plus minute Conor Gallagher, who probably should have had a red card for me. That bastard. At least a yellow.
In a group chat I'm in, it's funny you say that. I did suggest that he'd gone all Cobra Kai, because I know he kicked, I think it was Gray, can't remember, but he kicked one of our players like it was a proper karate kick. Now, admittedly, I was more surprised that he didn't go in the book. I wasn't exactly calling for a red. I wasn't exactly calling for him to have his hands wrapped with a ruler by the teacher. I was just surprised that it wasn't anything.
It wasn't even a foul. They didn't even,
Exactly.
nobody called it, nobody said anything,
Exactly.
nobody, and I didn't see a ton of replays on it watching the match, but the commentators were like, I just can't believe nobody saw that. Like, how did nobody see this karate kick?
I'll point out, sorry, just a quick tangent on the game, still on the game. Chelsea's defending in the game was so bad. I know they won, right, but the first goal that Leeds scored, their defending was so bad that we scored it during a replay. In the English coverage,
we didn't see
scored
it.
during a replay.
I didn't see it. They were
because
replaying.
They just assumed we were going to score. We weren't. Nothing was going to happen. So they just showed a replay, but then they took the goal kick short, and we pressed them and got the ball.
Yeah, and he threw it nearly right to you, slotted right in, and a good finish by Joseph. Like, both of his goals were good finishes. I know nothing about this guy, but you know, you never know. Conor Gallagher's on a yellow card. Maybe he's not going as lunatic as he tends to like to go, and finds that goal. I will admit, I was on the subway home, so between every stop or during between every stop, my cell phone would cut out coverage, and then I'd have to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and then it popped back up and it was like game over. I was like, wait, what just happened here? I thought we were going to extra time. So,
oh, good night, Scooby.
Yeah, good night, Scooby.
But yeah, in all seriousness, I think we played well. When it went 2-1 to Chelsea, I got worried because I thought like an embarrassment was on the card, was potentially on the card.
Yeah.
But then we got to, it was key in that 6 minutes between them going 2-1 up and half time that we didn't concede again, which we didn't, and then we reset, and then we came out and went at them again. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased that we weren't afraid of them. I do think the defending was a bit naive, but at the end of the day, they're a team of Premier League players, some that they've paid horrendously over the odds for, but still Premier League players. Because let's get this right. The reason they are where they are in terms of not being at the bottom is because they do have individual talent that will always get them over some of the lines.
Right.
The reason they're 11th and not 18th is because at least one of the players that they overpay for will win them points in a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that, we had mentioned it earlier, talking about, pressure and who's feeling the pressure, who's not. I think as a Leeds fan, I'm very, very much, I would be very proud of that performance because I don't think it was their focus. I think Leeds' focus is either winning the championship or just promotion, rather than continuing on with an extra game. Where Chelsea, the storyline is that they have failed to win a trophy in X amount of attempts. That's all they're playing for right now. It would be the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. They're not getting to Europe. I don't care what kind of surge that team is able to put together. It's just not happening. I don't see them, I see, and it's going to be another thing where it's like, the off season is just going to be more turmoil, more turnover, more spending, more shedding of contracts,
It's really important to note, Mark, that Chelsea squeaked past Leeds reserve team. I know that's not strictly fair to say in the context that there were first team players out there, but we didn't have our key first teamers out there. And let's put it this way, they started throwing on Cole Palmer and that long before we threw Somerville into the fray and Nonto.
Right.
Yep.
They were out there in case it went to extra time.
Right.
Yep.
As opposed to Chelsea, who were like, no, we actually can't afford this to go to extra time because we'll be a laughing stock. It's like, we kind of already are. So, because it's not 5-0. But anyway, sorry. I know you have a bio break.
Oh, you still
Soon
got
we
time
have
to
we
rant?
have we have
You still
4.5
got time to
minutes.
rant? Yeah, you're in stoppage time. You're good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
to mention that, saying that, the game
What a
plan
take,
was is
Dan.
that we have someone, we have a team that can come in and carry us into the overtime. I can't, or into the extra time and into the extra. Is it the extra? Well, just overtime, I guess.
Extra
I don't know
time.
what you guys.
Extra time.
Well, is it?
Yeah.
So there's
Stoppage
time
or
and then
time?
extra time. Okay, so extra time. Had the Wolves Brighton game gone into extra time, we would have been screwed. We had all defense out there. We pulled. I think we finished with 7 men in the back. It was like parking that big old bus to move on and play at home again, which is really great.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely rooting for you guys now, Mark, in the FA Cup. Screw all those other teams. I mean, the problem is I would be rooting for
someone else
Coventry.
worth rooting for.
I would be
It's
rooting for
nice to see a
Coventry
different name on the
if
cup,
they
isn't
weren't
it?
playing you guys. But yeah, a Coventry Leicester City final would be great. But now let's go Wolves Leicester, because the rest is like what? City, Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea. Yeah,
Chelsea
fuck all
have got
them.
Leicester.
Yeah, fuck all them. Chelsea are going to get destroyed by Leicester, I feel. Not destroyed, but outplayed for
I'd
sure.
quite like that to go to extra time, funnily enough.
Extra time, penalty shootout, and then when that ties, it goes to a penalty kick out where they just take shots kicking each other, and if you fall down, your team loses.
Should go to an actual shootout where they then bring out revolvers.
That's Texas style.
Well, they should change the rules to Texas style FA Cup.
No holds barred.
Yeah.
No holds barred.
Texas steel cage Premier League match.
Mo Masters here.
Masters here.
He's
Just
alive.
in time.
You're alive. Well, sorry, what?
He gets here. All right. Well, he's just in time for our halftime show. We have a little bio break coming up because we're old men who are drinking lots of beers with y'all. John, you're here, right? You're doing that? Okay, cool. I am not touching that. Awesome. So we will be back with the second half of the show talking about all sorts of stuff. We're going to go through much of the Premier League matches coming up. I have the hiccups. I'm going to try to get rid of the hiccups in the next 4 minutes. Nope, not happening. We will be back talking about all the Premier League matches that are coming up. I'm sure there will be more Leeds United talk, and we will have
today too.
Betting in the dark with Mr. Tom. So that being said, don't forget, halfway point right here. I'm about to hiccup again. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And now it's time for our bio break. So pee them if you got them, smoke them if you got them. Oh, shit.
Put on some music.
I can hear you. All right. Now back to the show. Eventually. Yo, what's up, Tom?
Hello.
Mark is still away from his desk. He will return momentarily.
Is he filming on the capper?
He's on the crapper right now, filming. Thank you, Mark, for putting that together for us. There we go. Good to see you. I just wanted to say hi to some of the guys that we didn't get to say hi to who jumped in here. Dan, always good to see you on here with your horrible Chelsea logo. That I would pop up your comments on the screen, but I would have to put that Chelsea logo up. And yeah, not going to do that. Pipe, good to see you as well. Mo Master, welcome back to the show. Polly as well. Good to see you all in here. Mr. Tom, I want to get straight into this. I don't know about you, but I'm excited for the Premier League weekend up ahead, and I want to see what bets you got going on. You ready?
Do it.
Betting in the dark with Mr. Tom.
Come on, love, place your bets.
Roll up. Lolo, it's disclaimer time, baby.
All right. Disclaimer time. Before we get into all these bets, just remember this is a segment that we have asked Mr. Tom to find the wildest and craziest bets that will turn $1 or £1 into 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 300 pounds. You could become 100-aire just like Mark if you follow some of these bets. But we absolutely do not recommend you spend any of your money on these bets. Do it if you want to, but we are not encouraging you to do so. That is the disclaimer. Mr. Tom, take it away.
Well, the craziest bet I could have possibly done would have been Luton to win 4-1. But I do kind of hope to pick things that might actually happen. Therefore, I've gone Villa to win 4-1. Ollie Watkins score first. Leon Bailey's in a bit of a purple patch at the moment. Where even if he's not, it feels like he is. Therefore, £185, baby.
That's not bad at all right there. Ollie Watkins to score first. Leon Bailey to score.
I'm not so sure about this one.
I don't know if Luton will get the goal.
But Luton's at home. And I learned something very, very interesting about Luton today.
Let's hear it, Mark.
The top six.
Luton scores their first goal on average in the first 20 minutes.
It's true.
And that to me is an absolute crazy stat. I know a lot of those are, the average has been brought down considerably because I think
they've scored in 23 seconds in one game.
Iwoye has like 3 goals this season that was scored in like the first 10 minutes or something like that. Maybe even in the first 5.
We won on one occasion, Mo Master, and I'm living off the glory of that. No, actually a couple of times I've won, but the payouts.
And he changed the bet.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mark, you just don't think you think Luton's going to score first?
I think
that's
Luton
your big
scores
problem,
first, especially at home. They tend to be pretty quick scorers at home, and they have that. I'm not saying that it's as good as we've seen. Like, 2 years ago, the secret to Brentford was winning at home. Last year, the secret to Nottingham Forest staying up was winning at home, and this season, I think it's Luton, who's secret to the sauce is winning at home, and they don't want to get relegated. This is a team that isn't very consistent. But I actually do see Luton scoring first and early. I do see either of these goal scorers. I see Watkins scoring. I see Leon Bailey scoring. I just don't necessarily know that Watkins' goal is going to be the first one.
Well,
no, I bet it. I bet if you put him as an anytime goal scorer, it's not going to go down.
Oh
Well,
no, it
no,
definitely
You'll
goes
still
down
probably
quite
get
a bit.
100 to 1.
No, Mark. What I would do then in your situation, if you're so het up on Luton scoring first, do Adebayo to score first, still 4-1 to Villa, but then
Yeah.
do Watkins and Bailey anytime scorer. And by the nature of Luton being the first goal scorer, that's going to bump it up. I suspect maybe even to 500, possibly.
Let's see what that turns out to be. First scorer. Adebayo. Oh yeah, this is. I don't think actually you can combine those. No, you
can't
can.
combine Adebayo
can.
and
Reason why you
Watkins as first goal scorer.
No, but I have Watkins and Bailey as anytime scorers. Adebayo scoring first. Let's just put in that correct score of 1-4.
Well, while you're doing some math, let's go ahead and bring on Gary, who's joining us.
Hello. Hey, Lolo,
So,
Mr. Tom. And
Gary!
who's that? Is that Mark?
you know it. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing.
Doing good. I was trying to listen to you, but then one of my kids called, so then my phone switched the audio from the show to my daughter's voice, so I had
You
to.
were trying to listen and you just got fed up with it.
That,
Yeah.
I was trying to be nice, and I guess I screwed that up.
So if we make the adjustment that we spoke of, it is 929 to 1.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, correct score of 1-4. Adebayo scoring first. Watkins anytime score. Leon Bailey also scoring. It is 929 to 1.
Let's do that one as well then.
If that player does score first,
Cash
I'll
out.
be thrilled for
I'll
you.
be cashing out for like $200, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know.
No,
But
they
you
would
never
probably
know.
only offer you like 10
You never
bucks
know,
at that point.
No, but if Ollie Watkins equalised, for example, then you'd start getting some of that sweet cash out money offers.
Ghost.
Indeed.
Yeah,
indeed.
absolutely. All right, let's see the next one.
Right, we're going with Manchester Blue versus Manchester Red. We're going Manchester Blue to win 4-2. Erling's going to score 2 or more. Foden's going to score. And I've done Casemiro to receive a card to bump that money up. Now, I know, obviously, on the American betting apps, I don't think they offer cards, right?
Not
No,
that I've been able to
not on
find.
my site.
So without Casemiro, it should pay about 100. You might be lucky to get 200. But how can you not go with Erling after like everything he touched turned to sold on Tuesday night?
Did he score 4 or 5?
He scored
He
5.
got
But he
5.
scored 4 in the first half.
And all 5 were assisted by his.
4 out of 5.
I
was
think
assisted
4
by
was
De Bruyne.
assisted by De Bruyne.
Can you do assists on your apps?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
can't do cards, though.
Throw in De Bruyne for an assist, of course. Instead, if you can't do
one
cards.
assist.
Yeah.
I'm behind on my betting now. I didn't even get. Have I only missed like one? Did I?
Yeah,
I
it's
missed
just the Villa one.
just okay. I got that one because I was I could see what it was, but I couldn't listen to you at the time, so I got that one. I got to put it in, but yeah. According to my bank account, I have not won yet. So, Mr. Tom, do better. Okay.
All right, Gary, I'll do my best. So next week, join us next week where you get Man City to win and Haaland to score, and Gary makes $2.
Right.
Before we move on to the next one, there you go, Gary. Crack it open. Cheers. Before we move on to the next one, we have a very important question here from Dan, and I want to get y'all's answer to this. What's a plastic fan? we say this a lot. That's a plastic fan. These fans are plastic, blah, blah, blah. What does this actually mean to you guys when you hear someone called a plastic fan?
Somebody,
To
I would
me,
say somebody who's like 30 years old and like is a City fan all of a sudden. Like they, like all of a sudden, like a City fan or a Kansas City fan all of a sudden.
I'm not saying this to pick on Africa specifically, but when you do see, like, you'll hear someone go, "Oh, Man City are really well supported in Africa," and it's like, but why?
Right.
Because they wouldn't be well supported from before 2008, before they got bought by the billionaires. But it's not just Africa that there'll be people in England that got into football and were like, "Oh, I like Man City." It's like, but why?
Yeah. Well,
Just
you have
say
to have a
'cause they're
reason
winning.
why you support the club, for sure. Like Brownie says right here, someone who never goes to watch the games live. Well, we live in a different country.
That is
Yeah,
not
exactly.
plastic. That is actually
Yeah.
wow.
That's kind of tough for
Whoa.
a lot of us. I mean,
Whoa,
And like
whoa.
to go to my first Premier League match, I spent a fortune.
Damn straight.
And luckily I was in a place in my life where I was able to do that. Not a lot of people are ever in their lives, especially over here in the States, where it costs so much money to go. And then if you're a London club, staying in London is stupid. Getting a ticket is stupid. I think we paid like over $400 for our tickets, not to mention our flights, hotels, food, all that. But then if you fly into London and your team is from somewhere else, if Mark wants to go to Wolverhampton, then he's got to deal with all fucking that. Like, so I don't think the definition is someone who never goes to watch a game live.
I'm gonna agree with that one.
What I would say is the only reason I don't necessarily agree with that, Brownie, is because I don't get to see Leeds very often, and but I would argue that I carry the depression of someone who is a Leeds fan.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really appreciate being told that I'm not a real Leeds fan because I don't watch them every week.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for like I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I've seen them play preseason because of where I've lived. I've never been able to see them live, and I've been through like the Landry, the old days, like when they were America's team, to when they went 3-13.
That's South America's team.
Who knows what it is now? Who knows what it is now? But it's not America's team anymore. But I've lived.
It's America Ferrera's team now.
But I can say I've got 20 plus years, maybe even 30 years of fandom for that team. So nah. If somebody said you're a plastic fan, I'm like, yeah. No. So I don't think just because you go to a game you're a real fan either. There's a lot to it. People can talk
what
about
I will
that.
say is, I did used to hold a certain respect for fans of teams that, like, I've been a fan of a team for a long time and all this, and yeah, I agree to an extent, Brownie. But again, like, you've got to take circumstances into account.
You can't afford to go to a game. That means you can't be a real fan. That means you're a plastic fan. I don't think that's true, because maybe you just can't afford tickets to a game, and you'll never will, because they just keep going up and up. So, and you can get more than enough information nowadays about what's going on with the team to know everything. And if you want to go back in time and read the history, you can do that as well. So, nah. That's a bad take there,
I think it's tough to, like, from the U.S. perspective to kind of label people plastic fans. I mean, because it's just, for some other outside of the broadcast, I mean, a lot of things aren't that accessible. You don't get, like, I'm sorry, but Lolo and I watched Arsenal play Newcastle at a lovely bar in a neighborhood in Brooklyn called Fancy Free, and that atmosphere was absolutely fantastic, but it paled in comparison
Yeah.
to the atmosphere at the bar that
The
we went
Tollington.
to after
Yeah.
the North London Derby. You
I-
know,
I think a plastic
so
fan-
that sort of support for me is kind of tough to gauge. You know, it has different meanings, but I think those that, at least in the United States, those that have chosen teams for the sole reason of picking a winner, like
Yes, that's
I'm
what I
a
was gonna say.
Chelsea fan because they won all these trophies. I'm a Tottenham fan because I don't know why. You know, I'm a City fan because they're the flavor of the month. You know, it's like how many City fans, and City has won however many trophies over the last 4 or 5 years, 10 years, however many years. How many of them kind of took that Manchester United jersey and kind of it's sitting in the back of their closet? It's lonely and it hasn't been touched, and maybe they're trying to sell it at the garage sale or on their Stoop sale, but it's a Man United jersey, and so it's not going to get bought. But how many people in the United States have done that? How many have a jersey because that's who they support? I don't support them anymore because they suck.
I think there's a fear.
You know?
I think there's a fear in people when they first get into football, they survey the landscape, right? And they don't want to pick a team where they have a risk of dropping out of the Premier League, for example, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is the established Big Six, so I'm going to pick one of them, right? But also, you get a lot of people that support Manchester City that had Manchester City not been purchased by Sheikh whoever the fuck wad or whatever, they
Shake your
would
booty.
then- they would be supporting Chelsea because they'd be the team that'd be winning most things
Right.
because they had the billionaire.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
And first of all, I know Dan kicked off this conversation with that, and we want to jump on a lot of Chelsea fans as being plastic fans because they would have jumped on as soon as the Premier League became relevant in the United States. That's when Chelsea were kicking off and being hot. They were one of the top clubs, a nice one. A lot of people were like, "Oh, that sounds much better, Chelsea. It sounds like a classy lady."
It is pleasurable though to see Chelsea dropping into their natural position of like relegation.
It is.
Honor.
I just got to stick up for my boy Dan just a little bit of like Dan has horrible takes on a lot of things and he supports a terrible club. And anytime we talk about football, it's like, oh man, take off those Chelsea tinted glasses. But the dude supports Chelsea. What did he name his daughter? Fucking Chelsea. Like, I mean,
I was like, Linda.
no, but I mean, you can't be plastic if you name your
Barb.
kid after the club.
Barb.
Like, come on.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's, you know, our, we had it's been a long time since I've seen him, but there was a cat at the old Wade's. He named his kid, like, didn't he name one of his kids like after Liverpool or something like that? You know who I'm talking
Googled
about.
it.
Rafa.
I
He
googled
named
it.
his daughter. He named his daughter Rafa. It's
I've got
fucking
two
crazy.
definitions for it, right? One of them, the term has a multitude of meanings, is often used to represent a diverse set of people. Commonly, plastic fans are fans who are not very loyal towards a particular club or national team, and loyalty is considered to be the highest virtue among football lovers all over the world. Secondly, the term plastic refers to an artificial, plastic is not natural, or a fake. When a fan just supports a club during their glory period and shifts to support another club during their hard times, it is called being plastic.
Yeah. Well, big
Well,
shout out
did
to
you see-
Jimmy for throwing us a tenner on this. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Jimmy. We really appreciate the support
What was you
right
gonna
there.
say, Gary?
But he actually says something very good in this, and he says plastic fans, glory supporters who turn up for a prawn sandwich and a plastic glass of Prosecco, then spend more time looking at their phones than at the game or the crowd and sit down and clap when the team they're wearing a $10 scarf of, a 10-pound scarf of, and clap like a seal being fed a fish. So there's that. And then Palfy also said plastic fans are people who change or have changed who they support. You only have one team from day one.
Day
dot.
dot.
You never day dot.
Day zero.
You never
Day
change
zero.
that. I love all that. And then the
Can
one
we send
where Gary was
the
talking,
Yes.
can we send the link to Brownie just so he can defend himself?
No.
Yeah,
No. He can,
you know
he can
what?
sit there and stew. He can sit there and stew in the chat.
You know what, John? We'll send it out to everybody. Why not? We'll moderate who actually comes on. We're gonna send out that link right now, and
Just
you guys
did.
can click on it if you want to give your thoughts. Join us. Have some headphones in. It always helps. But Brownie's here saying you asked me what a plastic fan is, and that's what it is. And then he said, the term is now probably out of date. But that's what the phrase originated from. So maybe that's what that phrase originated from, but we are in a different place.
Right.
We are not.
And
I
I
always
guess,
mean the same
you
thing.
know, I mean, if plastic fans is a term that's kind of fell out of favor because of the global attraction of football, then I'll just call it
Oh
what
shit, Mark, he's
what it
here.
is.
He's here, Mark. He's here.
What it is in
Get
the
out.
States.
Hi, gentlemen.
I'll
How
call
are you?
Art.
How are you?
Get out
there
of here,
goes
Mark.
there
Let
goes
me
the
let me
show.
call it what I would call it in the States, and that's glory hunter or a glory chaser.
Yeah, glory.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
What's
But,
up, Brownie? Very good to see you on the
Hey,
show,
Brownie.
my
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
How are you?
Nice to be on a show with you guys. I'm starting to enjoy your channel. I've only been viewing it for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but congratulations
thank
on
God.
congratulations
Thank God.
on
I thought you were about to say, I've only been watching you guys 2 or 3 years, and I'm just starting to like what
no,
you're
no,
having.
no.
I'm just starting to understand what you're saying.
I do apologize. It's a Welsh accent, okay? So
No, I love it. I love it. You've got all those extra letters.
Gary and Tom have introduced me to this channel, and congratulations on it becoming stronger and stronger.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
So we've talked about your comments a lot about plastic fans.
Yeah.
Go ahead and explain yourself. I mean, I get what you're saying. It's where it originated, but
Yeah,
now that
I
football
think
is
it's an
global,
out of date. I think because Premier League have expanded global so much, it really originated before it went global. If I'm honest with you, I was going
Good night,
through
Bono.
my team's Cardiff. I was a season ticket of Cardiff for 13 years. I finished that season ticket 2012. I would say it probably started around about 2007, 2008, when it wasn't as global, going to America, going to Australia, going to Asia when it wasn't. And the term plastic was somebody, at that time, the term plastic started off somebody who support a club but only could watch it on TV or only would watch it on TV. Maybe that's because I'm lower league, and lower league clubs don't have that kind of expansion in supporters. I can only explain it from my personal opinion. But as it gone on, I know Dan, the Chelsea fan. Also, Tom mentioned it with Man City as well. As time has gone on, I think it's expanded a little bit, where historically Chelsea and Man City have been yo-yo clubs before they started winning anything. So they were always normally going relegated, promoted, and before that time, you go in a street, no one would be a Man City fan, no one would be a Chelsea fan. Now they started to win things. That is why the term plastic fans aimed at Chelsea and Man City fans, basically because they were nowhere near the grounds when they didn't win anything. So glory hunters is probably the new term to it, really.
To me, Man United was the original plastic club because, from my perspective, obviously I'm living in London, so it was weird to have half a class of school kids support Man United. And it's like, well, and I know you're going to say, well, why do you support Leeds? I'm like, well, because my dad went every week for 20 to 30 years. Like, that's why. Why do you support Man United? Because your dad supports West Ham. And West Ham are down the road. So why do you support Man United? Because they win every week.
Yeah,
Because Leeds weren't winning every
you
week when
do
I
get-
supported Leeds.
I mean, I know a lot of Cockney Reds. Coming from like they used to come from like Romford and Essex and all that way. Go home and away all the time. But I just think it's natural as a team gets more success, we get more supporters. But originally, it was if you only watch your team on TV and you've never been to the ground. No. I'm showing my age, I think. I'm showing my age by the history lesson.
You wouldn't believe it, but he's only 16. I mean, that's just. He just had a hard life.
16
Been
in
a
the
rough
head.
16 years in Wales.
In the head.
This is what a 16-year-old Cardiff supporter looks like.
Oh, I tell you.
I had a rough 2 years
Cardiff
in the
have given
Premier
me
League.
enough grey hairs over the years, I tell you.
Well, you can only see what being a Wolves fan has done for me.
Oh, I tell you. My first ever game was 1987. They call it now League Two, the old Division 4. And my first ever game was Cardiff Wolves. Wolves won the league that year. They went from a top league. So if it was this year, it'd be Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, straight all the way down. After 4 years, boom, 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 relegated, and then they went back up straight to the Championship, and then Championship for maybe about 15 years before going to Premier League. But yeah, what's this? Looks like I'm beaten up. I know. You know what? I had a hard paper round. As a kid. That's what it is. Anyway, I just thought I'd pop in just to say.
No, for sure, man. For sure. You can definitely stay with us as we are about to finish betting in the dark. We have Cyril here in his lovely blue bow tie, looking very proper.
Well, yeah, he wants to be smart for the Stoop, of course.
Well, that's not anything that I would quantify or qualify the Stoop as being is smart. I think that's actually against our mission statement, is to be smart.
I know, but Cyril's a rebel. He does what he wants, doesn't he? So,
and there you have it. That's the Brooklyn way.
And
do anyone actually think Man United could win or get something out of this?
Sure,
I do think they could, but I don't think.
Sure, why not? I don't think they can. I honestly can see Casemiro getting sent off in this one. You know, he's come really close in the last few games.
They call it lightning in a bottle. They need to be perfect in everything that they do.
Yeah.
For them to get something out of this game, much less a win. You know what I mean? And they have been far from anywhere close to perfect. So it's going to be it could be a 0-0 game. And as you know, City has that shot coming at any time. And it could just be like 90th minute, boom, goal, whistle, let's go home kind of thing. You know, that's how that's how they work.
Well, Gary, you say that Manchester United have been off it, but they lost this one game to Fulham, right? In the weekend. But before that, they had won 4 in a row.
Yep.
They were. I mean, Eric Ten Hag is up for Manager of the Month.
True.
Like,
who did they beat though?
They beat Luton. They beat Aston Villa. They beat West Ham. They beat Wolves. And they drew with Tottenham. They beat Aston Villa twice, actually, and they drew with Liverpool. So, like, it'd
be one thing to say, you know what? I see Mr. Tom's face, and I'm like, it's not easy to beat everybody. Winning 5 games in a row, not everybody does it. I think it's
My
It's
team's
I think it's a big
potentially going to
deal.
win 10 league games in a row tomorrow. Potentially.
The problem with Man United, and Jamie Carragher spoke about this a few days ago, and Eric Ten Hag took it the wrong way, basically. Which the gap, half a team seem to want to play. The forward line want to press, and the defenders, because they're not quick enough, they have to hold back. So the problem with Manchester United is that in the middle of the park, the midfield is too much of a gap between the midfield and the defence and the midfield and the strikers. So if you got a good midfield, you can absolutely slice Man United midfield like a hot knife through butter.
Well, luckily for them, this City does not have a good midfield, so that's fine. It'll work out.
Yeah. For one moment, I thought you serious, that guy.
Rodri's going to struggle in that kind of environment.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard time trying to figure out how to decipher whatever defense they put.
It's going to get really difficult for him when Casemiro gets yellow carded after 7 minutes. He's going to be under serious pressure in that situation.
Yeah, and you know what? It's home, so Rodri probably will put his hands on Casemiro's neck. Casemiro will slap it away and then get a red card. So that's probably what will happen. Because that's how that typically goes.
I know people go on about De Bruyne and Haaland for obvious reasons, but to me, and he should be Ballon d'Or winner next time around. City without Rodri it is a beatable City, to be quite honest with you. He really makes them tick from
the 3 games he got banned for. They did not win.
Yeah.
And they're in top 3 without Haaland and without KDB for big chunks of it.
Yep.
So they don't miss them as much. They need them, but they don't miss them that much, right? As you said, Rodri is key to that whole thing. I think he makes everybody else around him on that back line and just in front, a lot better. Makes it easy. He makes it easy for the rest of the team, I think. So
I would like to posit 1 point. Sorry, Gary's made a great point there. Well, Gary and Brownie together, to be fair to them. I think this all points to one thing, though. It points to Man City with Calvin Phillips on the bench was a top team, like won the title, won loads of trophies. Since he's left and he's no longer on the bench for them, they're third. So basically, that tells me, phone West Ham up, go, that break clause that's in his loan contract, we need him back on our bench right fucking now.
That Calvin Phillips, I know you had the conversation before. That Calvin Phillips, I know Mark mentioned he goes up and down with his weight. Originally, that come from Pep. I'm just wondering, some people that can really get to you. Pep even apologized to Calvin Phillips about that comment about 3-4 weeks ago.
Yes, he did.
Sorry, Calvin, all the meat pies I've been feeding.
No, but I don't really think, I personally, I don't think he's overweight. I do think he's not a Premier League player. He played 1 season in the Premier League for Leeds United before signing for Man City. That 1 season was behind closed doors because of COVID. So it wasn't the pressure. The pressure wasn't like Bamford. Bamford had 20-odd goals on COVID. The pressure isn't on. I just think he was a 1-season wonder.
The thing is, the facts, the statistics don't back that up in the sense that Leeds won more games with him in the lineup than when he wasn't. So he was clearly an important player within that specific system. Obviously, outside of it, he's been shown up, but within it,
but
games with him. And we didn't.
Here was my big issue with Calvin Phillips going to City in the first place. It was the same thing with Grealish. They didn't need Grealish. They didn't need Calvin Phillips. They didn't need the Wolves player they got, Mateus. Who they get? Cunha? Nunes. They didn't need them. That's why they don't look fantastic on their team.
Yeah.
Had Grealish gone to, had Calvin Phillips gone to a club that was like, we need you. Had he gone to West Ham instead of you guys, had Declan Rice moved on and he went to West Ham, he would have been integrated. He would have had a season of football, and now he would be where West Ham is right now. West Ham would be soaring with Calvin Phillips right now. But you take a guy and you bring him over to a club where you're going to train, but I'm telling you right now, if Rodri is fit, you are not playing. If Kovacic is fit, you're not playing.
Do you think?
He takes the pressure off of himself.
Yeah, because City was in for Rice. How would have City looked if they actually got Rice? Do you think they actually would have played him?
He would only when Rodri wasn't fit, because they don't need another. He is Rodri. We are trying to turn Declan Rice into Rodri.
Yep.
And you're just not going to start on that team. You're not going to play on that team.
I think
they could try to force it in there. And we saw when they got Erling Haaland. Anyone who knows Manchester City football knows Erling Haaland does not fit that club. Erling Haaland does not fit that style of football. They had to completely change the way they played football to integrate Erling Haaland to have the season that he had.
But you know what?
And that's why
That's
City
what you do though. When Haaland isn't like you can just find him anywhere. There's like one of them in the world, right?
You're not going to change your life. So when you bring him in,
you're gonna have to cater to what makes them great because they are great. You know what I mean? It's like you pick any of the best players out there. Watermelon chili. Ooh.
What did I buy? Everything has like peppers in it.
Did you go to the pretentious douchebag kind of school for
Those are the only stores around.
That sounds. Where's your prawn sandwich? And plastic
I think his next flavor is going to be is going to be lychee asbestos.
Wow. Thank you, Brownie, for joining us, man. That was great. It was great to have you on.
Yeah. Have a good night, Brownie.
But yeah, imagine Gary.
Can we finish?
Not Declan, right? Yeah.
Can we finish the betting in the dark segment? Okay, no, I'm just
no. We're using this to get us through the rest of the show because. But imagine, Gary, Calvin Phillips comes over to Arsenal a year before we get Declan Rice. We may not be in the market for Declan Rice because now he wouldn't have hit the ground running the way that Rice did. But we were in a season where we could have maybe integrated him, especially when Partey gets injured, things like that, where we were a little soft.
You know what? You can't. I don't think you can do that for your club. If you have the opportunity to bring in a player who's better than one you got, especially when it's somebody like that who might be key to wherever you want to go, then you bring them in, right? You've seen teams do, we've seen, at least over here in the States, we see teams bring in a quarterback and then go and get another one, just because they know, look, I can get a better one, I might as well do that. So I think, if you bring in a Phillips and then there's a Rice available and you can afford to do it, you just do it because he's going to make you better. Because if you're going to bring in a starter, you do it every time, all right? You do it every time.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, Rob is clearly on Mr. Tom's side here. So let's finish off with betting in the dark. This has now been a 40-minute segment. Mr. Tom, you're winning life right now with a 40-minute segment.
I'm doing well. So following on from the Manchester derby, we are going to Monday Night Football. And I've gone for Arsenal with a very comfortable win over Sheffield United, but to bump that money up, I'm afraid I had to give a goal to Sheffield United. Basically.
I don't think that's a stretch right there. Yeah. I mean, especially the way they gave up the clean sheet with Newcastle. You know, I could see, and Sheffield can score.
That was to Joe
and,
Willock. He needed a goal, and we love him.
You know, and we also have seen where when the lead is just become ridiculous, like when Arsenal scores like 4 or 5.
Yep.
They lose interest. They're like, we've got this. Oh, they scored a goal. We still get our points.
It's literally happened.
Well,
once,
for me, it's
Mark.
more the
It's
case.
literally happened once.
It's more the case that Newcastle offered nothing in the realm of like attack, and that gets
absolutely.
boring. That gets boring for the defense. And then when you sub, because we made all those subs as well, and all it took was those subs and then a little bit of a lapse, and bang,
subs on my lead show pipes.
So yeah, I kind of feel like if it was one of those games where they're threatening you a little bit, even though they're not getting anything out of it, and you win 4-0, and you're like, wow. You know, it was they actually did not just roll over. Whereas Newcastle, for like 80 minutes or so, it did one half, no shots, no shots on target, no shots for 45.
I mean, minutes. I don't even think they got in the final third.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and if they did, it was really quick, and it was back the other way. You know what I mean? So I think that's why it gets boring when you destroy a team like that. If they keep you on your toes, then your defense will be on their toes for the entire game, and you might still get the clean sheet, but you won't have those lapses. So, yeah, if you go up like 6-0 in the first half, you're more likely going to give up a goal, right?
Yeah.
If it was a Seinfeld episode, would it have been the no goals Nazi or the no shots Nazi? Sorry.
Hey,
no
Gary.
No shots for you.
Gary.
Yes, sir.
Where can people find more of your excellent commentary?
Oh yes, if you like me, and I know you do, and if you like that man at the bottom of the column there, Mr. Tom, you can check us out on many shows. We have tomorrow morning we'll be up talking football on the road trip. Check us out because that's 3 p.m. you guys in the UK, and then Monday night 12:30 a.m. for you guys in the UK. We got the trip. So we'll be talking mostly Arsenal there. But tomorrow will just be, what is it called? We just call it match day. So we talk about football and then everything else that goes along with it. So
will be a minor Leeds fallout, Gary, because Leeds played the early game.
So there you go. So depending on how that game goes, you might get, we don't know which Mr. Tom we're going to get. So there you go.
Well, let's see. And then what's Mr. Tom going to talk about?
Well, on Sunday at 9 p.m. in the UK, which means 4 p.m. on the Eastern Standard Time, we will be going over, that by we, I mean me and Ben, the Ben you all know and love, will be discussing our love of Leeds.
Well, we know
them. And our dislike of every other club. So.
Nice.
Who do you guys play? What was that badge?
Huddersfield Town.
Huddersfield Town.
Yep, the dog botherers.
The dog botherers. Okay.
Yep.
Are we done with this bet?
Someone from that area was accused of, well, I believe they were caught having it off with a dog. And basically then we then tarred everyone from that area with that brush, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a certain amount of hate for Cardiff, partly because we went through a stretch of time where we couldn't beat you, and our decline as a football club sort of began with you beating us in the third round of the FA Cup in January 2002 when we were top of the Premier League. So I've certainly held a minor grudge about it since then, but I'm petty, and basically you'll discover the more you see content with me in it, the petty reasons why I will hate all of your clubs.
You don't hate Arsenal.
Don't I, Gary?
No.
Well, you certainly can't hate Wolves because we spotted you 6 points last season.
It's true.
All right, we're done with this little segment. Or
this little 47-minute segment is now over.
The smallest segment in the history of Stoop. Record breaking. Calling Guinness.
All right, guys. 3 points separate the top 3 clubs in the Premier League. Let me ask you guys right now, is it a 3-horse race? Is it a 2-horse race? Or is it Man City's league? Guys, what are realistically right now? We are at 60, 59, and 58 points. Crazy. The third place team out of those has a better goal differential, a plus 38, better goal differential than goals scored for 10 of the 20 teams in the league. Meaning we have a plus 38 goal differential. Teams haven't even scored 38 goals. Arsenal also have the lowest amount of goals conceded. So your worst out of the top 3 actually has better numbers. So is this an actual race? Mark is laughing his ass off right now.
How many teams have scored less than Haaland this season?
Oh, damn.
I can tell you that right now. Because he
Hmm.
scored, what, 17? They've all scored more than him. Sheffield
not that
United
good.
have 19.
That guy
For now.
sucks.
Last year, he outscored Chelsea,
Mhm.
I believe.
No, Sheffield United have 22. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy. Arsenal have the second most goals for in the league. We have 62 goals scored, and we have one 10-goal scorer.
And that and $3 will get you on the subway.
You know what? It's just
I-
reiterating. We do not need a 20-some-odd goal striker.
You know what? Everybody
You
keeps
would
saying
take
this.
a
There's no such
20-some-odd
thing
goal
as there's no
striker
such
in
thing
a
as a
heartbeat.
20-goal scorer. Think about how many players in the last 20 years have scored 20 goals.
Harry Kane
Some of
every season.
Yeah, and then Salah the other part,
Salah.
and then once in a while,
Son.
somebody else.
We did the
Aubameyang.
maths on this on Gary's show. Did the
Yeah,
maths on this.
Yeah, it's not
Harry
that. It's
Kane.
like, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I did it with Ronaldo, but it applied to Harry Kane. They score lots of goals, but to the detriment of their club, that then scores less goals in total than they would have before those players arrived.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't
That's
think
not my opinion. That's
Arsenal
maths.
does not need a
Bring it
20-goal
on, Mo.
scorer. They might need another striker, a taller striker, more agile or whatever, but they don't need 20. 20 isn't the magic number. It's not. There's no such thing as it. There's not one striker you can bring in probably from another league where you can say that's a 20-goal scorer, because guess what? It's really tough to do. Haaland did it, but he's playing with one of the best assist makers in the world, right? And we just saw how it works. They just had 4 assists, and they all probably look the same. Like, you're like, how did they find him? Because that guy's really good, right? KDB is really good. So I think it's.
Can I shock you, Gary?
Yes, tell me.
Kevin De Bruyne is good at attacking football.
Yeah, I know. So that's what I'm saying. But you know what? Haaland can score goals, right? He was scoring goals before he got there. All they've done now is just continue what he was doing. He's just on a better team, all right?
To be fair, Dan, that's because they played Sheffield United and scored 8. They did score 8 against Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Newcastle, didn't they? Don't know if I dreamed that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think if Arsenal can get a win at City and Liverpool, and City can draw, that would be what we want.
Gary, what I want is a win at Sheffield United. I will deal with all the rest when it comes. But I just need a win every single week.
Why is Mo Master taking my words and just running with it? What's up with him, man? Why is he mad at me?
Mo Master's M.O.
That's what Mo Masters do.
Now, what's crazy is, Gary, every time you mention Erling Haaland,
yes, sir.
Every time you mention Erling Haaland,
yes,
this guy's face pops up in my head. That's Harlan Williams. I don't know if you know him, an actor, very funny guy. every time you say Harlan, I'm like, who's that Harlan guy? This is Harlan. And if he scored 5 against Luton, fucking pay him whatever he's asking for.
Sorry, I'm not good with names.
No, you're fantastic with names. I love them. You and Mark, like, yeah, you guys keep me happy with names.
The blunts will
Bremner,
upset me.
no.
Yeah, and I
No,
think
there-
you know what
absolutely.
I would be no that can't no
There is
that
no universe. There's no multiverse where the blunts beat the goobers.
I will
Not
say on
happening.
that, I will say the only way I'll say Arsenal will be under pressure on Monday night is if the other two teams have won over the weekend. That's the only way Arsenal are in any kind of pressure in that contest.
that's what happened. That's what happened last week.
Exactly, and
thing.
you'd have been you're under pressure in that one, and you
Yeah.
won. But still,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it like you'll lose because I was saying earlier, will Arsenal feel any pressure playing Sheffield United? But
You know, I
didn't get
hope
to
they
point
do
out
because you know what
that's when they will.
this is the only way each game should be high pressure for them because that's what they need. They need to be on their toes. They can't let up. They're gonna have basically they're gonna have to try to go 12-0. You know,
Right.
that's how this thing works. If you fail and you win 11 or 10, you might be okay. You know what I mean? You might be okay, but gotta strive for perfection right now. So
It's an absolute privilege to be in this position in the Football League in February, March time.
yeah, and this keeps
Absolute
you engaged, right? Like we've gone through a basically 9 to 10 game stretch in the last 2 seasons, and you're like, well, if it happens this time, something's really wrong. You know what I mean? Last season,
Right.
9 game stretch pretty much destroyed the season. Previous season, there was like a 10 game stretch. Can't do it this time, and I think the nice thing is that we are getting healthy, so we do have options and we do have depth. Hopefully, going forward, as every day, it sounds like another player is getting closer and closer to putting on a
Right.
shirt.
Yeah. Looking at the fixtures coming up, we started off the show talking about pressure. Who's the pressure on? Who's the pressure on? I think if any team has the most pressure on them this week, it's going to be Man United. Villa and Arsenal they're playing some not so very good teams, and they will get the result. If United can't keep pace, it's over. It is over for them this week. If they do not get 3 points and keep pace, they're not getting into that. If top 4 was their goal, that's not happening.
This is what I worry about, Jimmy. We know the Blunts have to upset somebody this year.
Yeah, they did. Their own fans.
I'm going with Mark.
Walking away. That's our show.
I'm going out on a high note, Jerry.
That's it.
I'm going out on a high note.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll go with that one.
How many Seinfeld references do we have every show? This needs to be a stat because, like, we do it uncontrollably. And is it because we live in New York, or because we're American? Because I don't know, like, or just because it's the best show ever?
It is a pretty special show.
Yeah,
I'll definitely say.
Yeah. Well, guys, this has been a ton of fun. I know we didn't do score predictions of every single match that's going on this weekend, but or any really.
I think they'll live.
I think they'll live.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Anyway, so Gary, Tom, you guys got your shows coming up tomorrow and the next day, Monday or Sunday.
There'll be one of us will be on
one tomorrow.
For the next 3 days. So, or
there's
both
a
of
show
us
every
together.
day.
So yeah,
in some form.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go, Jimmy. Thank you. Well, I will be up early watching Leeds United tomorrow, and I hope you guys get another win and continue this crazy form that you're on. Mark,
Yeah, I look forward to watching Leeds tomorrow.
Mark, what time do Wolves play?
Right after that
10 a.m.
that Leeds match. They're in the next grouping.
And hey, we softened up Newcastle for you, so we showed you how to beat him. Just don't let him have the ball.
I would love that to happen. That is not how we play. And
Debbie Lewis.
We don't have a striker right now, so it's gonna be a tough one.
If you have a good day at the office, maybe you'll win 4-2. Yeah.
Hey man, I'd take 1-0 because that's what we've been producing lately.
Mark's not
take
greedy.
Anything at this point, I mean, to be honest, the season from here on out is just like gravy.
I don't care about performances. I want results.
When my phone blew up after Lopetegui was fired, let go, whatever happened, everyone was just going, "Oh man, so sorry, man, you're gonna get relegated. I just feel it. I hate to say it." And here we are, 9th, 8th, 10th. I don't know.
9th.
We've these are results that were unexpected because we were sellers. We sold in the off season and then we loaned out in the January window, and we're still getting results against quality clubs. So at this point, everything is gravy as far as I'm concerned.
I have to chime in with this comment. All right, so for me, I'm only in the chat after or just before a big payday. So throw some love to us.
Yeah, throw some money down. What the hell?
Yeah, man. Otherwise, we're gonna have to try and sell Lolo to like West Ham for $3 million.
That's a lot kinder than I thought he was going to suggest.
Mark, I just
trying to sell your organs.
Yeah, I gotta inform you, Mark. I went to West Ham last summer.
I know.
Or
last October.
I offered myself to them. It was a hard pass.
Was it an offer like Hell's
I don't want to get into it, Mark, because
Hellspawn or
what's offered
the movie I'm thinking of? What's the horror film? The Puzzle
Hellraiser.
Yeah. You offer him like your Hellraiser, you're all like chained up and
I watched Dune Part 2 today.
Flayed. You saw it, and you saw Dune too?
Mark, these are post-match conversations. We will get to them soon.
All right, play us out, Mr. Lolo.
We will go to the Only Stoop fans page after this. As Jimmy says. Good night, everybody. Much love to you all. I hope all your teams win. So yeah, we'll be backstage for a few minutes if anybody wants to join us backstage for a little chit chat. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Thank you all very much. Director John, thank you so much for being back. It was awesome. Awesome. Good night, everybody.